Ladies and gentlemen, you might be watching the end of the Chiefs-Bills game. Maybe you're still watching the first stream here on Sportswire Radio earlier today. But I promise you, put all of that aside because our guest makes his long-awaited return here to Sportswire Radio after a long absence, and he's going to talk about his future and especially what happened less than 1 week ago at ROEW's latest show, where unfortunately he is no longer contractually obligated to perform in ROEW because in his match against C Money, which he was in control of for merely most of the match, he was forced to actually quit. And then afterwards, his best friend, the current reigning defending ROEW Backyard Wrestling World Champion CJ Black, basically gave him a goodbye in a way that I think most fans of ROEW and most fans of our guest did not expect coming. He's going to talk about all of that. He's going to talk about his future here and some. He needs no further introduction, but because he hasn't been on here in a few months, it's time to give him that introduction that he deserves. And hopefully he'll give us some answers after we give him that introduction that he's gotten time and time again. So with that, without further ado here on the Sports Report, number one global sports show. They call him the Wild Card, Jason Storm. My friend, how are you?
Tom, as always, thank you for the introduction. I wish it was under better circumstances. Considering everything that I've been through in the last week, I'm doing fairly exceptional. Still coming off a concussion, still a little beat up, still a little confused, disappointed to say the least, but nevertheless, I'm a man of my word, and I told the fans I would address everything, so here I am on Sportswire to get that out of the way. Figured what better of a way to kind of address everyone than live on the air, on YouTube, radio, social media, all over on Sportswire.
We're everywhere. We're on YouTube. We're on Twitch now. We're on Twitter. We're on sportswireradio.org. And, I appreciate everybody that's tuned in and supported the platform. But, Jason Storm, I know it's been a whirlwind since we first got known and introduced to each other just about 9 or so months ago. And, you've certainly had a roller coaster, but you had quite a year in 2023. And, you looked like you were primed and poised for a 2024 that'll be one for the ages. And I still think the best is yet to come for you. But, I guess the first question off the bat for those that are listening and watching on Sportswire Radio and fans of yours, the wild card Jason Storm, how are you feeling? And, have you now gotten a chance to reflect about what happened as your career now in ROEW came to a close last week after the results of the I Quit match against C Money, where you unfortunately said, I quit?
Yeah, I guess I'm feeling a lot. I'm feeling robbed, if that makes any sense. I mean, kind of like you said, 2023. Uh, I held the ROEW championship for over 6 months.
You were the guy. You were the man here. You would come on basically every few weeks, and you really waved that flag for a company that's just come a long way. I think ROEW's, one of the products I would say is Jack Delta always says quality over quantity, and you guys raised that flag for it.
Yeah, and I mean, speaking of Jack Delta, like I beat the likes of Jack Delta, C Money, Jacob Collins, Captain Law, JX at some point.
JX, I saw him in XCW beat Corey Lee. Huge.
JX, he's a hell of a competitor. Honestly, actually, I'm gonna kind of get this out of the way now, just because it kind of relates to how I've been feeling, and I've been kind of had a moment of clarity, if you will, through all of my actions the last few months have been a little aggressive, not myself, disgusting, heinous things I've done, all for a certain man that I thought was my best friend. I just uh, wanted to kind of apologize, if you will. I've never really done this for the apologizing thing. I kind of stick by everything that I do, but I can admit when I'm wrong. And to JX, C Money, Jack Delta, Jacob Collins, Alex Cross, I just want to apologize for the things I've done. Specifically, Jacob Collins, who I attacked in a church, um, threatened his life and career by stomping his head in a steel chair, um, ran his head into a post with a chair wrapped around it. Many, many things that, truth be told, at the start of 2023, Jason Storm would have never been a part of. He wouldn't stand for it. He was kind of the standard bearer of what was right in ROEW, and I lost my way after I lost the ROEW title at Meltdown. And I mean, I don't know if any of these guys can ever forgive me, but I do apologize. Another thing I'm feeling betrayed. I honestly, I thought me and CJ Black had finally put everything that kind of kicked off between us behind us, kind of the catalyst to why I became a wrestler. And I'm just feeling let down. I feel like I let myself down. I let my family down. Most importantly, I let my fans down, who I used to call parasites. I'm not really going to call you guys that anymore. So it's just a whirlwind. Not only is my ROEW career coming to an end, but I told C Money a couple weeks before the match, if I was so confident that I would win, I would retire from backyard wrestling. So one of the main points I do want to address live on the show today, Tom, yes, Jason Storm is officially retired from backyard wrestling.
Wait. Let me get this straight, and I'll say hello to everybody in a few minutes. And that was kind of a, I guess, a question that was certainly kind of addressed on the air. But you're telling us, for those that are listening and watching on Sportswire Radio, that your career officially now in backyard wrestling has come to a close, that you have now officially retired on the air here live today, January the 21st, 2024. Your career now is history. Is that correct?
That is correct. And obviously, nothing that I really wanted to do, retirement this early. I felt like I was just kind of finding my footing as an in ring worker, as a character, all those kind of things. And I thought 2024 was going to be my year. Um, it's a little hard to grasp, honestly, right now, Tom, because I was looking at, winning more championships. I had just debuted in IMF. Come
You
off a
were
win.
a two-time world champion, I believe, in CBW also, right? You were the champion as well, if I'm not mistaken.
OMW, correct.
OMW, I'm sorry. CBW, you had a lot of success there as well. Yeah, I mean,
CBW was the one that eluded me. That red and gold beauty. Um, Looks like it'll never happen now, unfortunately. But yeah, it's a hard pill to swallow. I'm really confused myself. Not only am I pretty injured, I took a concerto. I took my own finish in a tornado lariat, and this is all
you were
after.
put through a table. How about before the match where you had said, I quit? You were put through a table from C Money, and, you bled throughout the match. I mean, this was a really intense match. I mean, you really went through the ringer here in order to try to be able to, do what you had said you were going to do. But, that doesn't matter to me. I mean, we'll get into all of that, but I don't think any of that really matters because, you know, your career is over. Your career is history. And, I give you a lot of credit. It takes a lot as a man to go out and apologize to these different individuals. And I want to say it here on the record as the host of the Sports Report, the owner of Sportswire Radio, the #1 global radio station, your voice of all wrestling, where all wrestling matters. I always liked you, regardless of whether you were, fighting with the fans, whether you were, best friends with CJ Black, whatever it was. I always appreciated what you did in the ring. I think that's why, we were kind of waiting to see. And I took your word. You were on the air and said, CJ and I, he's my best friend. I'm telling you. And I took your word for it because I always liked you. I really think that you were a guy, and I still believe in you. And I still think that you'll certainly do a lot of things in the future, whatever it might be. Maybe I'll believe in you when it comes to, any of your future endeavors. I'm sure I'll get into that. But it takes a lot as a man to apologize to all those people. But let me ask you, though, in the match itself, I know you've retired now. I know that, it's been a very hard week. You're dealing with health issues. You're dealing with so many different things that, have gone on. But do you have any regrets in that match? Because you really were in firm control. But there were many times, especially in the first half of the match, that you kind of allowed C Money to hang around. I mean, what's your thoughts on some of those things?
Yeah, it was a long match, 43 minutes, and
About 35
I
minutes,
was
really, not counting intros and what happened after the match. I mean, it was a really long match. It's one of the longer matches we've seen, certainly, recently.
yeah, and it's kind of funny because people underestimate me. They see me as kind of a heavier set fellow nowadays. I mean, they really don't think I can kind of push the limits on stamina and like I guess endurance. But even when it looks like I have nothing left in the tank, I still stayed in it. I did whatever I could. I thought to try to put C Money down. Um, I busted myself open in the match. That was a calculated error, I guess, on my end, a misfortune, if you will. That kind of left me a little vulnerable because I won't say a little blood is going to scare me away or put me down, but it left me vulnerable for more attacks and just losing energy quickly. Trying to stay conscious on my feet, not dizzy. Um, I did a lot of talking. I was very confident, very cocky. I grabbed the mic and pretty much pissed all over anyone I could, and I did a lot of time just kind of giving C Money time to recover during the match, which is an error on my end. So that's a regret, and ultimately, just I mean, I was trying to protect myself and my longevity when I initially, I guess, inevitably had to say I quit. C Money had me set up for a concerto. I was pretty much gassed at that point. I had nowhere else to go. I had really much, not much left in the tank, if you will. Like you said, 35, 40 minutes. We left it all out there, and he got the advantage at the end. He put me through a table with a side effect, and that really kind of turned the tides of the entire match.
Yeah,
I
I,
couldn't
I
really.
think I agree with you. I think that once you went through the table, that, at that particular point, the match was not going to go in your favor. And I think that the longer the match may have went on, you could certainly have made the case that it favored him because of his kind of agility and I think his speed and quickness. But, it's obviously a moot point. It's a side point. I want to say hello to a few people, and I'll come back to before we speak more with the wild card, Jason Storm, again, who's now officially announced his retirement. He's officially announced his retirement as a backyard wrestler. He is no longer competing. We obviously are very sad to see him go. We wish him well in his future endeavors. We have no doubt he'll be very successful in those. And if you want to follow him, actually, and follow his future endeavors, you can do that on Instagram and TikTok at jason.storm.byw. I want to say hello to Ethan. We'll come back to memories because right now he's just trying to process his career. So thank you, Ethan, for the nice question on the career moments. But he literally right now just announced his retirement on the S. We'll come back to that. I want to say hello to Jules, NYC. Yes, he definitely apologized, but I would rather him to have apologized and called everybody parasites and talked about lawsuits and he'd be out there in the ring. But, you know, it is what it is. Well, I think right now we're still trying to process this. I mean, I think right now Mr. Storm is just, had a very, very difficult match he went through. But yes, I agree with you. The best on his future endeavors. Yes, I think that that's a fair point. Okay, so obviously I'll come back to some of that. I have no doubt that a lot of people are still trying to process this here. And I'm thinking about this now as we're in the middle of our year anniversary here on Sportswire Radio, and in the week of leading up to our first 5-year anniversary show on Thursday, January 5th. We're actually on the air 3 times that day, but I don't think I've had somebody officially announce their retirement on the platform, so I don't necessarily know if I was prepared for that. But, when it comes to, let's say, anything else into this retirement, was there anything else that led to the decision other than the fact that you said, hey, you know what? See, money, before the match, I beat you. I'm so confident that if I don't win, I'm retired. Anything else that you want to say that led to the decision for the retirement that you've announced here just now on air?
Just being a man of my word. Obviously, hypothetically, if I went back on that, what do I do now? I can't go back to ROEW. I could go to XCW maybe. I keep running in CBW, IMF, as a member of the foundation. I could do several things, but I, I stuck my word out there to everybody, and I'm a man of my word, and I don't want to necessarily kind of take away from what I set out to do and what I wanted to accomplish. But I have to honor my commitments that I make. A man is only as good as his word. And with the retirement, I also wanted to announce, because a lot of people have been asking all week. Um, Obviously, without any wrestling money coming in, all 26 lawsuits have been dismissed. I have dropped all the lawsuits. Tom, you're welcome. I think you had 2 pending at least.
That's okay. I think most people on Sportswire would actually say sue me, because I'm probably of the other 20. I can't speak of the other 24 losers. I might be the one guy that probably people would love to see me in litigation at this point, especially some of our UK people that I think half the UK at this point is like wanting my head in the silver platter. The other half thinks I could probably be, in line for sainthood. But, it's not about me. I mean, obviously, we're sad to hear, though, that, you obviously have no wrestling money that's coming in. I obviously may ask you about the foundation in a little while, because that was something I had on my mind. Plus, some other companies or other wrestlers that you referenced during the match, that one of them was actually on Sportswire last week, and he certainly had a few things he had to say about REW. But I do have a comment from somebody. Well, a man that you used to call a best friend, a man that was a brother, a man that you were very close with, and he has a comment he would like to share for the audience. And if you what, obviously, if I know, obviously, we're right now in a very tense and difficult situation, and I know that things are very distraught. I would certainly like to bring up his comment, unless you say don't do it.
I would say that it would be doing the fans a disservice if we didn't bring it up. So, Tom,
Okay.
free
I'm going to
reign.
do it.
You
And
can
this
shoot
man right now,
anything.
he is the reigning defending ROEW Backyard Wrestling World Champion.
Great, you say that.
He's defeated JX and Jack Delta, 2 men that have been very impressive in different places. And he was once your best friend. And this is what he has to say. That is the good guy, CJ Black. Such a shame that you turned out to be a worthless loser. I'm thinking of heading back out to that grave and taking those flowers back. What do you say?
Um, that's really disgusting. It's despicable. I shouldn't be surprised from somebody like CJ Black. CJ, I just like to advise you. What goes around comes around, my friend, and what I mean by that is, um, kind of this whole darker Jason Storm run started out with a concerto to Jacob Collins. Me turning my back on Jacob Collins when he came to me man to man, heart to heart, and asked for answers about what I did to JX at Meltdown. And I guess it was only fitting for myself that, unfortunately, at the hands of CJ Black, my run ends with a concerto in the middle of the ring. But me being on the receiving end, I don't appreciate the concussion you gave me, CJ. I don't appreciate your you saying that you're gonna go take flowers back. I brought you into my family. I brought you in as a brother. I trusted you. I respected you. I did despicable, disgusting, and heinous things at your accord, at your order. Um, I I did everything for you. I lost everything for you. I pretty much handed you the ROEW World Heavyweight Championship on a silver platter, and you repay me by hitting me with my own finish, and you sandwiched my head in between two chairs trying to kill me. So, although I can't come to the ROEW arena and hand you revenge myself, be careful of the enemies that you make because you're shredding on very thin ice, and I do hope that Jack Delta gets his hands on you again, and I hope that the results are different next time because I really won't be able to sleep at night until I see that ROEW championship off your shoulder. You're a disgusting human being. I trusted you with everything, and you spit in my face. You spit in my family's face. You spit in my dead mother's face. Again. So, I might not be able to wrestle anymore, but CJ, if I ever run into you in the supermarket, on the streets, in the bar, whatever it is, I sure as shit still can fight. So you better be able to back up all the things you've done for real. That's all I'm gonna say.
I have thoughts, but I want to, before I get to my thoughts, I actually want to say hello to my very good buddy, Mr. Big Tex, the big man of DBW. And he wants to say, Jason Stone, we haven't really met, but I hope you had a very fun career. He's in DBW, and he's obviously doing a great job. He's their big man of DBW, and thank you, Big Tex, for correcting Ethan because he thought you were James Storm for a second. No, Ethan, James Storm. Let me give you the James story real quick. When Davey Blaze comes back to Sportswire Radio, Davey Blaze, who just wrestled in CCW, actually wrestled James Storm about 3 weeks ago. Then we can talk about James Storm. This is Jason Storm here. So just wanted to let you know, Ethan. But, I
Funny
do
enough,
have.
a lot of people do get that mix up, and until I start saying sorry about your damn luck, y'all are gonna
Well,
have to
I
trust
definitely
James
think, well, you
Storm.
might need the beer money, but I certainly think that you're a lot more well liked on Sportswire than than James Storm would be because, well, you've come on the platform over the last year. But I'll leave that at that. Thank you, Ethan, though, for the nice comment. But there's somebody else that you apologize to that is with us right now live that would like to say something to you. Would I be okay to bring up this comment? Because this is another unflattering comment, though.
Go ahead.
Okay. It's Jacob Collins. Jacob, of course, very successful, by the way, at XCW. He's undefeated in XCW, and he recently defeated their former world champion, Brady Branton, on encounters, but he's not too victorious here in this comment. I warned you about CJ Black since the beginning. You chose to ignore me and attack me, possibly ending my career. Good riddance. What do you say about that?
Um, I don't expect Jacob or anybody else to accept my apology or even consider it sincere. Just, I mean, I've done horrible things in the last few months, Tom. I've turned my back on everybody. I've turned my back on myself, and all I can say is it kind of goes back to what I was saying. What goes around comes around. I tried to end Jacob's career, and in turn, see money ends mine. So, although I wish it was different, and I wish in another universe or another lifetime, Jacob could forgive me. I completely understand where he's coming from, and I can't really blame a man for having resentment for what I've done.
I understand that. That's fair. And I do want to say hello to somebody that is also a member of the foundation. And I actually may segue to what I would want to think what the foundation would have to say. There's obviously DKW and Darkron and Matthew Forsaken, brothers of yours in the foundation who are going to be in our Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame 2 weeks from Tuesday, 11 o'clock Eastern time. And I hope that Darkron is doing well. And he says, evening, gents. And I actually wanted to ask you on that because I know a lot of people are now starting to tune in because people actually saw that the Chiefs and Bills game ended and they were like, okay, well, the Chiefs played another day. That means I guess now we're going to see Taylor Swift for another week. So people are kind of like saying, okay, let's come back to Sportswire. Let's forget about what's going on in the world of the NFL. But all kidding aside here, I mean, the foundation you've been a big part of here these past few months. You've been on here in the show with us here alongside Omen and Soldier and the DKW guys. Obviously, CJ's also a part of the foundation, and Sean Jovi, the resident rock star, who's also a part of things in the IMF and WCE. And I was wondering, what do you think the foundation thinks of what happened between you and CJ and you now officially retiring when it comes to your career in backyard wrestling? Have you processed what the foundation might think of all this?
Um, it's really not for me to say. Unfortunately, I haven't heard anything from Omen or Soja about my status in the foundation. I can assure I cannot help them in any wrestling capacity. I won't be appearing at IMF. I won't be appearing at ROEW. If I were to ever return in any wrestling capacity, it could only be as maybe like a managerial or a guest commentator or whatever that may be. But
You
honestly,
might
I
have a
don't.
voice for guest commentating. Through a birdie, through the grapevine. I think that commentating might be something, you could consider. And there have been wrestlers that have certainly done a good job in transition into that. Jerry the King Lawler, Blackheart and XCW transition from retiring and after Summer Mania. And he's become, I think, one of the best announcers we've got currently in this sport. I mean, Taz, was the ECW world champion. And, right afterwards, early on in his WWE career, he went and became an announcer. Shawn Michaels tried it for a while. I mean, JBL had a great career doing announcing. Corey Graves probably had a better career as announcer than a wrestler. So, you could still do that in that capacity. I'm surprised to hear, though, that, Omen and Soldier or anybody else in the foundation hasn't spoken to you. So you haven't had any contact with the foundation since last Monday. Is that correct?
Well, that is correct. I've been radio silent. I haven't really been active on social media other than two Instagram posts, I think, or stories, whatever you
I
want to
saw
call
one,
them.
yeah, I think yesterday, right? I think it was one post you had yesterday, if I'm not mistaken.
Um, I've just been at home. Me and my wife have been discussing everything, just trying to process. Um, this is hard. I mean, this is what I love. This is what I want to do as a career. Uh, that's why realistically, I don't know where I stand with the foundation. I wouldn't want to say that I'm out. That's really up for Soja and Omen to decide. Those guys are my brothers, other than CJ, obviously. I love all my foundation brothers. I wish them well. I wish them success. I know they just did a show yesterday.
Yep, New Year's
Uh,
Vengeance at the Paolo Community Center. Yep, they did a
uh,
phenomenal job there. We've heard some feedback that Omen was with us in our first show to open things up here with the returning Jacoby of Resurrection Wrestling, and they were talking about the venue. They did a great job there, and they had a huge turnout. And congratulations to Omen and Soldier and everybody there in the IMF that put together a phenomenal job and making that company become one of the premier companies in this sport. I think what they have done has just been certainly phenomenal, and I congratulate them. And I look forward to seeing what the future is for the IMF guys. And Darkron would like to say that he would hope you're well and do what makes you happy. I mean, I think that's really what it comes down to. But apparently, we do have Soldier. Soldier's here with us, and congratulations, Soldier, on another huge show. Everybody in the IMF locker room, just what they do in the IMF. I mean, where that company was to where it is, where it will be, just phenomenal. And I want to extend my support and congratulations to them. And anything I could ever do to help them or any promotion. But apparently you are always in the foundation. So I guess you'll be a foundation member for life. So that's got to be good. Yep, definitely feeling that there. Definitely, you deserved it. I mean, what are you going to miss most about your career? What are you going to miss? I mean, what would you miss most?
um, not only meeting new both fans and wrestlers in new places, traveling, but just entertaining. Um, I never really thought at the beginning of all this I'd be any good at wrestling, and um, Jack Delta, Aaron Blaze, CJ Black. Although I can't stand him right now, Captain Law, even Jacob Collins. The list goes on. Don't want to leave anybody out. Mikey Blackheart, JX. I mean, I got to wrestle all these guys that I would have never known initially. I would have never interacted with initially, and a lot of these guys are good individuals, not a good guy, but good individuals. And I mean, getting to travel to Iowa last month for Winter Clash and performing in front of that packed audience,
Oh my God, what a
that
what a venue! What a
that was a
job you
rush.
did. Yep.
I mean, I even ripped my pants like SpongeBob in front of the entire audience, and I still got good reactions. I may have gotten heckled quite a bit, but that crowd believed, everything that was going on. It was an experience like no other. I wish I could experience it again. And I know they say these things about wrestling retirements. Oh, he'll be back. He'll be back. I'm gonna keep my word. And
Yeah, I believe. Listen, I believe it because you know what? I don't see you as Ric Flair retiring, unretiring 100 times. Mick Foley. I mean, how many times did Mick Foley retire? Terry Funk. I mean, God rest his soul, but he retired a bunch of times. I mean, listen, Shawn Michaels dubiously had that match back in Saudi Arabia 5 years ago with DX versus the Brothers of Destruction. I mean, certainly wrestling history is littered with them, but yeah.
can we just stop real quick and talk about that because that hurt my soul. Sean had like such a
Yes, yes.
beautiful
If we're gonna
send
break the
off.
fourth wall for a second, and we'll get to
He
comments.
stayed
Yeah,
retired for so long
he had
just
the
to ruin
perfect
it with
retire.
that.
Yeah, he had the perfect retirement. And like, what was it? 9 years later, he had no hair on, and he looked like totally different. And Kane, the Undertaker, was at that point slow as molasses. Triple H was basically winding down. I mean, that was if there was ever a cash grab that there was. That was that. Yeah, that was probably to this day. Listen, that was horrific. I think Goldberg and the Undertaker was the next show. I think, if I'm not mistaken, or might have even been on that card. That was one that yeah. I hope that in history, whatever you do, whatever you decide, you don't go down that road of Shawn Michaels.
I can say if there was a time ever that I returned to the ring, I'd like to be in better shape than even I am now because I mean it's no secret. People have brought it up, fans have brought it up. Throughout my run, especially kind of after Meltdown, I got really complacent and kind of lazy, if you will. I mean, I'll be candid on here and say I gained 60 pounds last year, and I mean I was moving a little slower. I feel like if the Jason Storm that kind of entered 2023 and the Jason Storm that won the ROEW championship would have showed up to the I Quit match, and I'm not making any excuses. I'm just stating what I believe. I feel like the outcome could have been different, but I kind of just, literally and figuratively let myself go and just got complacent. And, I kind of hid behind being CJ's best friend and him having the ROEW title and all these, like, just weird things I never thought I would do. I don't know what happened because me and CJ, like, we feuded, we never liked each other. And then Meltdown, he comes to me before my match with JX, the Detroit Riot match, and I don't know how he did it, but he switched something in my head, and I quite literally went crazy. I started talking differently. I started acting differently.
I think it might have been because you know what? As we're here with the wild card Jason Storm, who, for those that are listening and watching, has officially announced his retirement from backyard wrestling competition. My name is the Reverend Tom Bryce. If you want to obviously send your well wishes to Jason Storm, you can do that through Instagram and TikTok. He's at jason.storm.byw. My name is the Reverend Tom Bryce, your voice of all wrestling, where all wrestling matters. And if you want to support Sportswire Radio, there's a few ways to do so. Sportswire Radio 6579 backspace streams. Also, sportswireradio.org 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. You can listen to all of our great content, and we will have more coverage here tomorrow, a little after 9 o'clock Eastern time from DBW Van Hansen. So Van Hansen will be here live with us. And then a slew of CCW shows are ahead to round out the week. Stay tuned on tomorrow's show for more details. But if you do want to follow ROEW in the meantime, ROEW Backyard Wrestling, also IMF on YouTube as well, IMF Wrestling 666. And the IMF, I know, has an announcement on their Facebook page that they'll share at some point. So you can check out and support those companies, although we wish Jason all the best. But, obviously, let me come back. Let me come back to that. And a lot of people want to say hello, and I'll hold my fire. I want to say hello to my buddy Justin Parsley. Justin, of course, is the first real wrestler. He's one half of the XCW Tag Team Champions. He is also the third member of our Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame. He wants to say foundation is solid, similar to what I've seen your body of work. Good luck in all future endeavors. I know that I don't think you quite shared a locker room with Justin, at least as far as I know, but I know that you guys know each other through Mr. Festus Davis, who, by the way, cheap plug, Festus Davis, a man you know very well, is on Sportswire next Tuesday night, 6:30 p.m. So you're not going to want to miss that one. But
That'll be quite an interesting episode. And
yes, that's going to be one. I've had a lot of people in the XTW locker room ask me specifically about that. So your wish is going to come true. I also here want to say that we got that in. CJ, though, wants to put it out there that we'll have to talk about that one. It's either me or him scenarios about the foundation. Soldier GP wants to say foundation, a family, brothers fight, but brothers are brothers. Ethan Sorensen wants to say Jason Storm, you'll always be a backyard wrestling Hall of Famer. Yes, we'll definitely we'll get to that. Well, he was a champion, by the way. He actually has been a world champion twice. But thank you though for the very kind words. CJ Black though says that he's out of the foundation, but Soldier says you want us as brothers, not enemies. Believe that. Because you can be a bad guy or a good guy, but anybody can get beat up by the foundation. Yes, the foundation, Justin Parsley and Rob Slater know a thing or two about that, but I'm going to leave.
I'll even go as far as to say I know, because when Foundation debuted in ROEW, I was kind of on the other end of their crosshairs, if you will.
I wasn't gonna bring that up because I'm here to kind of parcel the decision about what has happened to announce your retirement. Sure, obviously, yes. The first half of 23, the foundation, Omen and Soldier came in and they obliterated everybody, and they'll continue to obliterate and decimate people. I mean, look at Craven Rage. Side point. I mean, Craven Rage still hasn't addressed Omen Black. I mean, Craven Rage comes on here, and every show he comes on here, but yet still won't challenge Omen Black. So, but that's a different topic for a different time. What I wanted to ask,
challenge Omen Black, so I can't really blame Mr. Craven Rage.
Well, I don't know why he shows up and wants championship matches against Soldier. I mean, that to me makes zero sense at all. But I mean, I'll let Craven Rage.
It's hard, if not hard.
I was gonna say Soldier ain't no chopped liver either. I mean, have you not? I mean, Craven got a first glance at him yesterday. He knows him. They've shared locker rooms already for all. But I'm gonna leave Craven Rage out of this because God only knows people don't want to hear Craven Rage talk for all night on Sportswire. But when I want to bring this up to you, when you lost the world title to JX. And you did change. We saw the personality change, and we saw kind of you were on here afterwards, and you snapped, and then you kind of went the other way, and then had this relationship with CJ Black. And is that where you think things started to go south? Really, what ultimately has led for you to where your career is history, and that when the minute you lost the ROEW championship, is that kind of where your career went south? You think?
That's a little hard one to answer, but I would say yes, just because, like I said, I lost my way as a person. I snapped on JX, hit him with the title, smacked him with a crutch, beat him up, screamed at him like he was Jack Delta because
I know you were supposed to get Jack Delta, and it was what it was, and that's what you spoke about here on the air, that you didn't get the match you wanted, and you felt that you weren't prepared, and that led to your first lawsuit. That was the first of your many lawsuits, and that's why I was wondering,
And I'd like to clarify something, because for months I've claimed there was a spider on the mat at Meltdown, and there was no spider. I tapped out.
There wasn't? No, there's no spiders? I mean, we all believe
there was no spider.
Nah.
I tried my best with that. I tried to use it in court. Didn't really go over. None of these lawsuits really went anywhere. Most of the judges said I had no really withstanding to sue people because of the constitutionally protected rights in America.
Well, I'm sure. Listen, I know that you probably would have won against me for sure, because people were like, "Please sue him. Please sue this guy. We want him off the air." But I understand those things, and I don't want to debate the lawsuits because obviously it's a moot point. I feel like though that ultimately, there were things that happened, and there's nothing you can do about it. I also want to give you the benefit of the doubt because you went through a lot. You were supposed to wrestle Jack Delta. That didn't work out. Then you had the whole situation where you lost the championship unexpectedly. And then you had a friend that you never had before. You gained a brother in CJ Black. And then you gained a whole other set of brothers in the foundation. And the way you went about things changed. But I could even argue, you know what? And I want to say a little to Omen Black in a second. But I could even argue, you know what? Your run, I would say you were more impressive outside of being champion, because look at what you did to Collins. Look at what you did with JX. You mentioned Uric the Viking. You mentioned, what everything you were doing. You listen, you weren't the champion, but you were at the IMF's first ever live show. You were the OMW champion. So, maybe at the end of the day, that you were on the best run of your career without the championship.
I think you're right in a way, but I think I went about things the wrong way, Tom. I could have been, true to what I believe in my heart, and it's just very confusing, and like a lot of it is a haze actually. Like it's almost like I was brainwashed, but I took out Jacob Collins. I beat him up at church.
He considered you a brother. Jacob would come on here for all these months. We've been covering ROW, and please follow them regardless of the outcome of your future on YouTube and Instagram, ROW Backyard Wrestling. But, he would talk about how much he said this on screen, that you were like a brother to him. That's how he revered you. Jacob Collins revered you, in the way maybe how you revered CJ Black. And, maybe that really hurt most is to some and to your fans what you did most to Jacob Collins. JX, yeah, I mean, some people would have liked, some people would have not liked. JX goes about things his own way. JX kind of bangs to his own drum, and it works for him. He's been very successful, and, I don't think he's an ROEW guy per se. Fine. Okay, whatever you want to say about that, that's people's decisions. Law is an XCW guy, right? But Jacob Collins was the ROEW guy. He was a guy that your fans had been following, your fans had rooted for. And I think maybe in a way, that's the one that hurt your fans most in what you did to a guy that revered you in a way the way you revered CJ Black.
I think the fans were devastated, and deep down inside, I was even devastated that I turned my back on Jacob. He was a good friend to me. Like I say, he was like he said, rather, he was a brother. And also in a weird, twisted, like this may sound crazy, and I'm trying to get rid of crazy. I've been having mental evaluation all week. They got me on medications to try to mellow out my mood. So sorry if I'm actually a little off today.
No. Listen, it's your show. Listen, you're the wild card, Jason Storm. No. It's
Jacob,
your night.
I think a lot of the things I did to Jacob hurt him in many ways, but I feel like deep down I was trying to make him better, and I think I accomplished that goal, because I know for one I can't return to ROEW, but Jacob Collins, once he's cleared, I'm scared for CJ Black. Jacob, he can fight, he can wrestle.
No, you know what? In XCW, listen, he beat Brady Branson. Brady Branson with EBW, he actually won the most awards at Viewer's Choice. We do a lot of XCW coverage, and I'm going to ask Festus Davis about Jacob Collins for sure next Tuesday. But, I mean, he beat Brady Branson clean in the center of the ring, and he beat Jack Delta. I mean, at the end of the day, listen, Jacob Collins, I mean, this guy's been really impressive, at least in, other places I've seen him, and I think that he comes into ROEW regardless of what he does. I mean, he's a guy that's going to have a big run. There's no question about it.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what he does from a fan's perspective, if you will, and even see money. I know he's gunning for the
I'm
title.
going to ask you about those in a few minutes. I'm going to get to my thoughts on that, but go ahead.
And Jack Delta wants another match for the title, and kind of like I said to CJ directly earlier in the show, be careful what you wish for, because you have a target on your back on your shoulder with the ROEW title, and everybody wants your head on a silver platter. Um, if I wasn't retiring and leaving ROEW, my next plan of action would be to wrap my hands around CJ's throat personally myself. So, I mean, he's lucky he evaded one, but he's got what, three or four or five, six other guys. I mean, I know I've heard Captain Law say he wants a piece of CJ Black. I mean, who really wouldn't want a shot at the ROEW champion and
It's
want
one of the
the
most valued championships around out there. ROEW really is a place that you go there, you go to hone your wrestling skills. ROEW is a place that, a lot of people say it's at the top list to go to. I mean, there's guys that message me off the air and say, I want to wrestle in ROEW. So I would completely agree with you. I have a ton of comments here. Let me get to people here. Omen Black, we say hello to because it's his show. He says that you're always foundation. Also, CJ Black, though, would like to say, however, don't put the blame on me, Tubbs. You can't make the obvious choice to ditch this loser like I did. So if you're as stupid as him, I'd rather steer clear of your lame crew anyways. Okay, I mean, that's between you guys. I'll let that stay. Jason, you're always a brother to me and the gang. I want to say hello to Skulls, the Soul Hunter. And I hear Skulls through a birdie is actually going to be in a ring with somebody that let me just say is in a company with three initials that somebody named Sergeant Jimmy Controversy squared off in a ring with. But I'll leave that for another time. But Jason Storm, your storm is always on the forecast. Well, storms right now are a little bit cloudy in his future, but hopefully they clear up with a little bit of sunshine and maybe who knows what else is ahead. Shut up, Skulls. Kiss him goodbye. I agree about that. Solid point. Jacob Collins has come a long way. Solid wrestlers, worked hard, grinded. He's a guy that I think you expect big things for. Champ versus champ, maybe. ROEW versus IMF champion. You know what? Somebody should make that match happen. DKW still wants to come to ROEW. I would hope that would be a question for management to the companies, and I'm sure I'll ask Matthew Forsaken and Dark Crown when we get them inducted into the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame 2 weeks from Tuesday at 11 o'clock Eastern time. So I'll ask them the question here. I literally don't care who thinks they want to challenge me. I'm untouchable. Have you seen what I can do? I learned I don't need friends. Being the best is something I did myself. And you know what? I mean, his track record speaks for itself. You can certainly say that beat Jack Delta in the middle of the ring, beat JX in the middle of the ring. JX beat Corey Lee. Corey Lee is considered to be the measuring stick in XCW. And that's who CJ Black is beaten of late. Just saying. I mean, certainly not trying to get in the middle of anything.
You can't give CJ too much credit because I helped him soften up a lot of these guys. I helped him beat up JX. I helped him beat up C Money. I mean, I know he hasn't wrestled C Money for the title, but I took out Collins for him. I mean, I'm doing a lot of his heavy lifting in terms of these real competitors that can actually go in the ring. And the reason why Jack Delta had to tap out is because he was injured in a match with me many months back.
And I would also point out on Jack Delta, which I brought up in Jack's interview, which I'm going to make an excellent transition for into the current state of events with the championship that CJ holds, is that Eric Mason had wrestled Jack Delta just a few days prior. And Eric Mason is one of the most dominant up-and-coming big men in this sport. And Eric Mason was a man who, by the way, to win that New Age championship, which Jack Delta had taken from him, beat some guy, Corey Lee, XCW Hall of Famer, and considered to be one of the greatest of all time at this level. Eric Mason, what he did with the Mason Express, the physicality, I mean, he put Jack Delta through a lot in that match. And you could have said, maybe making the point that Jack Delta going into the CJ Black match, he was basically not at 100%, not at full strength because he went through so much to try to win, which he did successfully win the New Age Championship. So that's a point that, I think, yes, you definitely helped. But there's no question that Eric Mason, what he did to Jack Delta has never seen anybody like an Eric Mason. So, obviously those are points to be made. But I will get to a few more things here. Jason Storm is the greatest legendary wrestler ever, and you put your life on the line to make your fans happy. I mean, you know what, Ethan? You are definitely one of the Jason Storm fans. I definitely, That was so nice of you, Ethan. Ethan Sorensen certainly always can count on him for revolutionary and groundbreaking comments on Sportswire. But I wanted to ask you in the current events now. Now, obviously, C Money looks like he may get a shot at CJ Black. Jack Delta has also talked about wanting another crack, and Jack Delta was here with us, and it sounded like to me that Jack Delta has some unfinished business. I know you're retired. I know you're obviously focusing on, getting, your family, providing them money and, an income to keep the roof over your head. And I know you're obviously thinking about some other endeavors to kind of keep your mind active and, not focused on what you've went through. But, what is your impressions, though, on CJ Black's situation, how he keeps the REW title? Because C Money's in line, and Jack Delta says basically C Money, with all due respect, that championship's coming to me, and he's going to get his 28th championship if he gets one more crack at CJ Black. So what do you say on all that?
I tell CJ to count his days. I mean, he doesn't have any backup now. He's all alone. The one man that had his back through everything he turned on. And initially after the I Quit match, I thought maybe there would be a way to weasel around, retiring, quitting. I thought I could sue ROEW and get my way back in. But seeing as CJ turned his back on me, I'm not going to attempt any of that. And even if I did, I'm definitely not going to help CJ Black in any form or fashion. I think the last time we seen CJ Black wrestle C Money, I think it should have went a different way, and I think it should have been in favor of C Money. And I'd like to see
that was the meltdown match, if I'm not mistaken. Correct? Was that
correct.
a meltdown?
A lot of people would kind of think I'm crazy for this, seeing as C Money retired me, but I'd love to see C Money raise that championship over his head. I think,
and that's a personal, and they got personal. Obviously, wink, wink. They've got personal beef, long standing before you and CJ ever would. I mean, think about that for a second. Think about their own personal animosity. Those two have a lot. I'm sure a lot of things that they need to, go over for sure. I would think.
I would agree. What's the old sitcom Family Matters, and it doesn't
actually Family Matters was mentioned. I was on a podcast, and I think I was watching the 1991 Royal Rumble, and I had mentioned that the Bushwhackers were on Family Matters once. So what a small world. Family Matters gets mentioned the second time in 3 days.
All I'm gonna say is I don't think family really matters to CJ or C Money, but in regards to Delta, I mean, Delta's a dangerous man. He's a dangerous individual.
And he's dangerous now. He might be more dangerous because he just lost the New Age title to Jesse Justice there. So now he lost the championship that a lot of people were really kind of curious to see what he would do with. And it was kind of a major upset that Jack Delta, in my opinion, lost the New Age championship to Jesse Justice. And, I think now he's going to be squarely focused on ROEW and another company I'm going to get to in a few minutes that you spoke a little bit about during your match with C Money, and somebody else that you actually put on the shelf, which I have not forgotten. I've left out last, but I think Jack Delta right now is going to certainly now squarely have his focus and his sights set back in ROEW because now he no longer holds that XCW New Age Championship.
Well, if I may, and I don't really think I'm in the position to do so, but I'm going to offer some advice to Mr. Jack Delta here live on the show. And this is completely what I would do if I wanted to really capture that ROEW title and have the run with it that he says he wants to. And that's just really dial back on the company count, stop worrying about states, and just really focus on that ROEW title. I know there's somebody from Alabama that keeps kind of pushing your buttons a little bit, but I wouldn't really worry about that because that ROEW title is hard to win, and it's even harder to keep. I held it for 6 months. I'm pretty sure I'm the longest reigning ROEW champion of all time. I think that's been said a few times.
Yep.
That was no easy feat, and I've had my fair share of setbacks during that title run. But kind of another thing, like you said earlier, how I wore it with pride. It it was kind of like a flag for me that I waved everywhere.
You were here
I
with us so many times over the months in 2023 with the championship. You came on many times. You would pop on streams. You would pop on different people's shows. I mean, you did. I
pretty
would say.
sure I'm
And
pretty
your
sure
and
I
your
went
interviews
on.
were more enjoyable than some other champions. We have Craven Rage come on here. We would do this dance for the 500 days, and he'd be like, "I'm the greatest. Yeah, I'm the
I'm pretty
greatest.
sure,
I'm the greatest. I'm the greatest. What else
if
you saying?
if my memory serves me correct, I think I did a 2-hour Sportswire episode, sick as a dog, with the
Yep,
RW
yep. You
Championship.
did, you did, and you did a stream. I
Um,
think Craven Rage was on one. You did one with James Taylor, and you did a lot of. There's a lot of different guys that came on streams, and you represented the company. I think with a lot of pride. I think that was a
Not only
championship.
that, but one milestone that no other ROEW champion has achieved is I defended the ROEW championship in another promotion, being CBW, and I actually wore the championship in 2 promotions with CBW and
Yes.
OMW. Um, I really like, and I don't want to like, pat myself on the back or say anything, but I just kind of want to make this, and we'll steer back into like the advice for Delta, but I want to make it known to everybody, including CJ, to just remember that a lot of people can have credit or claim credit to putting ROEW on the map, but I think that I could argue without a shadow of a doubt that nobody put ROEW on the map more than I did. Uh, I wore that title to multiple promotions. I defended it successfully in Indiana. Um, I came on Sportswire proudly through, whatever contractually obligated or just fun things, health aside, family aside. During this whole run, I mean, my wife has been expecting a child. I'm expecting my first daughter. And fun fact
Congratulations.
for everybody, even in retirement, my daughter's due date was today, and I'm still here on Sportswire.
I asked you
Still a
like
press
5 times.
fan.
I'm like, are you sure you want to do this still? In fact, I was even on yesterday and I said, we'll have somebody on tonight, but could be to be announced. Cause I literally was like, are you sure you still want to do this? I'm still like, are you sure you still want to do this? Because, again, like your wife is due any minute. And I was even asking you before we went on the air, and I was actually messaging. You were messaging me when I was on my first show with Jacoby, who just returned in Resurrection Wrestling. Like, are we sure we still doing this? Because like I'm still in a way. I think it also shows your like dedication to this sport, your dedication to a company that even though you're no longer certainly active with, that you showed how much you cared about this sport and how much you cared about a company that you did wave the flag for loud and proud.
Well, although I'm from the outside looking in now, I will always take pride in ROEW for what it is. I'll always be a fan, and I'll always support ROEW because, like you said, for so long, so much dedication has went into the work I put in for ROEW, and I've represented ROEW in IMF, OMW, CBW, um, Sportswire, Nemesis Sessions. I did an interview with Ace Reed.
I was gonna
Uh,
say you were on Instagram Live with him. Yep.
yeah, so all the way from Australia, holding that ROEW flag with pride, and I'm really heartbroken that I won't be able to kind of contribute anymore to the success of ROEW, and I won't be able to um, entertain the ROEW audience. Sorry, I'm getting a little choked up here.
I can
It's
understand. I know it's not
it's
easy. I know it's
hard.
difficult. I know it's difficult. I know it's not easy. I'm gonna get to some comments. I don't want you to tear up on the air because we don't like that on sports parts. One thing I certainly try to move on and go always finish things on a positive note. I've seen what CJ can do, but still think he's a very beatable man. I mean, I'm in the hunt for the tag team gold, and I can take your belt on the way. Storm, let me handle your CJ Black problem, brother. And he loves the shirt. Yeah, it's a good shirt. I have to say, I think my brother has that shirt, by the way. I'm almost certain my brother has that shirt. Yeah, I think I have a brother that almost certainly has that
I will
shirt. But
say I'll always be a Pokemon fan, and if you don't like it, then fuck you. That's how it is.
No, it's cool. It's cool. No, listen, we certainly. In fact, I'll make you chuckle. In DBW, they actually in their locker room, half their guys have like a Yu-Gi-Oh thing going on. So in a Pokemon thing, it's Yu-Gi-Oh and Pokemon. They rotate back and forth. So you never know who's out there. It's no secret he's my brother. In reference to C Money, that's how I treated him. So how stupid do you feel that you thought I cared about you, you jackass? Got to catch them all. On a serious note, who was your favorite Pokemon? Which Pokemon was your starter?
The first Pokemon game I played was Pokemon Ruby, and my first starter was Trico. So I would say my favorite starter Pokemon of all time. I mean, obvious choice, Charizard, but for me, Squirtle. I like Blastoise. I think Blastoise is a badass. You know, I've put countless hours into different Pokemon games, so I've played pretty much every starter, and that for me that one really kind of hits just different.
Yeah, no, I could definitely see that. We are here again with the wild card, Jason Storm, who has officially announced his retirement at the top of the show here on Sportswire Radio. We have another 20 or 25 more minutes with him. We want to be respectful of his time because, well, as he stated, his wife could be due any minute. So we certainly want to be respectful of his time. And obviously, we want to wish him well on his future endeavors and congratulate him on a decorated career. Jason Storm, we're not going to ask him about Indiana Jones right now. I mean, I'm not going to ask him about that. But thank you, Ethan. I'm sure maybe at the end, depending on time, we'll let him do that. Squirtle, mine too. See, that's why you're in the foundation. Oh, there you go. That was a nice little one there. Good stuff there. That's why we definitely don't want to challenge the foundation to any duels anytime soon because they're all very esteemed and well-traveled and respected Pokemon players. But, okay, so Delta's got his own issues to handle for sure. And then there's somebody that you actually defeated. You defeated him at the anniversary show. You actually put him on the shelf technically for a while. And, you said some things about him and his champion also was squared off against Mr. Delta. And Mr. Delta said a few things about them. And I know from afar now, I'm sure I want to ask you here this and what you think. And I'm talking about none other than the Black Flag Army and specifically the likes of ADT, AJ Morgan, and even one Dylan Andrews, because the war criminal Dylan Andrews, just to break it here for those that are listening and watching on Sports Bay Radio, is live with us next Sunday night. He's going to be here around 6:30 p.m. Eastern time, and the war criminal Dylan Andrews is going to address all things related to the Black Flag Army, Jack Delta even. He may even have a few things to say about your retirement, so I was curious what you thought about them, ADT, and basically saying he's declared war on everybody. Backyard Wrestling's initials, instead of being BYW, should be changed over to ADT, and he's the new division champion. He wants Jack Delta. He's not impressed with him, but you're the man that you put ADT on the shelf. You beat him, and I'm curious on, from afar, what do you think about AWL? They're certainly chopping at the heels of everybody, and they're getting a ring, and they've got pro wrestlers now in their roster. And, what do you think about some of these different things that you addressed last week on air?
So I'm going to start with ADT, and this kind of goes off of like kind of patting myself on the back again. I hate to do it, but I'm gonna. When ADT burst onto the scene in AWL and kind of reintroduced himself to backyard wrestling, he became world champion in relative short order.
Very short time. Like a month? Not even.
Nobody's the same after wrestling Jason Storm. I'm just going to say it. The warpath has ended, whether it's for now, forever. I'm fairly certain it's forever, at least in a wrestling capacity. I might try myself out in, Twitch streaming video games.
I'm on Twitch now. Definitely join Twitch.
Maybe even a wrestling podcast. I hate to step
Take over. Listen, if you want to take over for me on Sportswire, I'm looking for somebody that I can pass the baton to because people really, they're sick of me. They don't want me on Sportswire anymore. I was trying to get Steven Silvestri from Resurrection Wrestling. Ace Reed might be able to do the job, but, maybe if, you want a second career and, you apparently, maybe want to do something like this, you can have it.
All I'm going to say, and this is a little advice to you, don't worry about the haters, man. Like
we're playing around with it, honestly. It's kind of fun, actually, but it's kind of...
You are Sportswire Radio, so just...
It was a joke. I'm just trying to have a little fun here. That's all. That's great. But, but ADT. So ADT, you put him on the shelf. you think he hasn't been the same since the injury of wrestling you? And do you think he has any idea what he's getting into if he really wants a shot at Jack Delta? Because again, ADT said, which was confirmed, AWL and ROEW still have another match or two with both companies, this time in Alabama. So, from that standpoint, do you think ADT knows what he's getting into and coming back to ROEW?
I think coming to ROEW the first time changed ADT. I mean, he can say, "Oh, I kicked him in the balls all he wants," which I did, but I beat him.
You did.
I injured him, and when
You
he
beat
comes
him. Listen,
back,
in the record books, you won. Can't take that away. Another big win for you.
ADT comes back to Backyard Wrestling, and he's now a mid-carder. He's holding the new division championship, which I mean, I hate to say it, but he's not the AWL World Champion. He's the leader of the Black Flag Army, but AJ Morgan's carrying the top prize in AWL. This kind of going back to what I've said about Southerners doesn't make sense.
So basically, I know we'll get to the end. I know that, but time out for a second. I know you're retired, right? I realize that your career is over. You've had your time in the sun, but you're telling me ADT is a mid-carder. You're telling me that ADT, if he went to a real company like ROEW, from what you're telling me, a company that you thrived in, a company that you helped build, you waved the flag for the success that ROEW has garnered, getting those over 500 subs, getting those thousands and thousands of views on the reels and all the shows you guys have done. You're telling me that if ADT went to, let's say, a company like ROEW, that he would basically be almost behind Jacob Collins or Alex Cross or anybody else like that, and that he's kind of a small fish in a really, really small pond because he can't really quite cut the mustard with some of the guys or even your foundation brothers, let's say specifically Omen Black, Soldier GP as examples?
I'm going to say that ADT talked all the smack in the world about me, played all the mind games, wore a Jason mask out to the ring, talked about my mom, and
he did.
Didn't get the job done. Since then, he's now new division champion, playing second fiddle to his own subordinate, I guess, if you will, AJ Morgan, who stole my moves. I've seen that, AJ.
You did mention that last week on the show. You did mention it last week in the match, and you were not amused. You were certainly not. And that, I still don't think you're now, if I've noticed, you haven't apologized, by the way. Let me remind you. I know you apologize to different people, but there was a few people you did not apologize to tonight. And I am sure with certainty you're not apologizing to ADT and AJ Morgan. That's for sure. Right? You're definitely not apologizing to them, I would imagine.
Not only will I not apologize to them, I'll double down. Although there's a lot of mental kind of clouding, if you will, during that whole kind of downward spiral of Jason Storm. Everything I said in the ring about them is true. Kind of to taper it off, and it's funny that you mentioned Alex Cross. Sorry, Alex. I think if ADT stepped into the ring with Alex Cross, he may come out victorious, still new division champion, but I'm pretty sure he'd work up a hell of a sweat, and we haven't really seen much of Alex Cross doing anything. So if that kind of tells you where I'm at with that, I think Delta needs to not lower himself to that. He needs to focus on the top prize.
Well, it's funny you said that because I had asked ADT about this, and Mr. Delta didn't seem too impressed, and he was basically talking about the fact that different people he's wrestled, and he didn't seem to be amused at all or really impressed. And his exact words were, when he was on the show 2 weeks ago, that basically he would be doing a favor to ADT, and that he's wrestled guys over and over and over in his career like ADT, and basically that ADT is going to be famous off Jack Delta's back. So it seems to me that Mr. Delta, that he don't seem at all to be sweating Mr. ADT. And I had even brought the point up that, you had defeated ADT. And on top of that, ADT's not even a world champion of his own company. And further on that, AJ Morgan, Mr. Delta's already beat. So it almost seems to me that ROEW and AWL, they're like apples and oranges. They're almost like, for some might say, and I wouldn't say this, but it's almost like the equivalent of like the Yankees and the Mets, or it's like the Lakers and the Clippers in basketball. And, some people don't seem like that they're you guys, and well, you need anymore, but even Mr. Black, who's a cousin of ADT's, ROEW and AWL are basically not in the same league with each other.
I'm gonna put it to you like this, and I'll fully admit this is kind of the same way it went with me. I wrestled Jack Delta on multiple occasions. I've pinned Jack Delta. I've pinned ADT, and all the times Delta wrestled me, he didn't need to wrestle me. I needed to wrestle him, and I firmly believe that ADT needs to wrestle Jack Delta more than Jack Delta needs to wrestle ADT, and that says a lot coming, I guess from me in terms of I was a nobody in this sport a year ago, and now, I mean, I would like to say that I'm held in pretty high regard. I mean, you see all the comments, all the well wishes.
Yep, a lot of people were like, I think a lot of people were shocked tonight. I think a lot of people, this was really, again, we didn't even know we were going to have you tonight. I think a lot of people are really, like, I think people, this hits them tonight. It hits people hard that you're retiring because we were just starting to get to know you over the past year on Sportswire. I go back into my 5-year career, and many people. And I'll get to comments in a second, plus a breaking news announcement. But we certainly have gotten to know many of our guests over the years. We've had college athletes, professional athletes, we've had coaches come on, wrestlers, and everybody's come on the platform and remained a constant over the years for the most part. And like we're really taken back by the fact that your career is over. And, I think it's a lot of people are still trying to process this. Let me say hello to a bunch of people. But before I do that, because people still want to talk to you, I want to break the news here that the IMF is going to have their next show February the 17th. And thank you for allowing us to break it here on Sportswire, called King of the Center. So I know you won't be there, but a lot of people, I'm sure, that you've been colleagues with, like your foundation members, are going to be there. And I can promise you on Sportswire Radio that week, we'll definitely cover the show itself. We'll definitely maybe do another day like we did last week. So we'll get some guys on and we'll certainly promote the show. And I'll give my endorsement, and I look forward to that. So, guys, congratulations on that, King of the Center. And I'm sure that we'll see a lot of great talent, a lot of great people from the IMF, your foundation brothers. And you can follow the IMF on YouTube and Instagram at IMF_wrestling. Also YouTube, IMF Wrestling 666. Also follow them on Facebook at Iowa Midwest Federation Wrestling for more ticket information and details. And I promise you that week that we will have on some guys from the IMF to promote the show in itself. So guys, congratulations on the successful event. And a guy you definitely know well says here that our hardcore king of Sportswire Radio, and of course he is the TBW hardcore champion. He is Mr. Hollywood Titan. He says your Hollywood Titan is here. He also says good luck to you, Jason. Wishes you all the best. So he's obviously giving you his respect. We respect our hardcore king on Sportswire. Yep. Yes.
Titan, you're showing me respect. So, man, I will show you my respect as well. Not going to argue the Omen Titan thing. I'm going to keep myself out of that because Omen's my brother. But for what it's worth, Titan's been relatively good to me over the years, so I can't really say anything bad about the guy either.
Absolutely. Listen, we love Titan on Sportswire. He's certainly one of our favorites. He's also, we had a day for him, and I have no doubt that he'll be in our Hall of Fame real soon. We will be there, foundation in full strength. I don't know if I agree about that, but that's certainly Darkron's opinion. You're the hardcore chump. Laugh out loud. Maybe. I don't know. Getting swole people going to call me Swole King next season. That was kind of a funny one there. Also here, all hail the hardcore king. Yes, Jules, excellent point. You're really, really well said on that. Main event is the battle for the greatest hardcore championship. Omen Black versus Damian Saint. And I don't have the last part, but I think its main event is the hardcore title, Omen Black versus Damian Saint. So if there's a stipulation there, we can definitely break that on the air. CJ Black, though, wants to give his breaking news. He holds the top prize in backyard wrestling. Can't argue with the fact that he is the ROEW champion, and he's beat some pretty big names for it. Everyone commenting and ruining my fun and watching this loser publicly retire needs to write an apology letter to the good guy. I don't know if they're going to write apology letters, but, maybe never say never. DKW hardcore champion versus IMF hardcore champion because this atomic turd doesn't know hardcore. But I hear through the grapevine that Jimmy Controversy, Mikey Anarchy, and some others that they know who Hollywood Titan is, and apparently, they may want him in the ring. Just know I wouldn't turn my back on you like CJ Black did. So Hollywood Titan says he respects you, and he definitely would like to, say well, and I got tongue twisted there. Hey CJ, I got you a ticket to the King of the Center. Show up. Well, maybe I'll buy a ticket, Soldier, and somebody can go on my behalf. Also, breaking news: CJ Black, I hold the most prestigious title in backyard wrestling. I'll come take your title off of you. You'll bow down to me. And P.S. CJ Black is an idiot. I would remind people before I come back to you in the final thoughts of the show. The Hollywood Titan, our hardcore king of Sportswire Radio, he is the only Grand Slam winner in TBW history, and he holds a prize that I can guarantee you that most people in this sport wishes that they would have. So I would just point that out there, but I'll let Hollywood Titan maybe figure out what he wants to do in his future when he comes back to Sportswire Radio. But definitely all great stuff there. And Ethan acknowledges the king of hardcore matches, which you meant to say. Well, whatever, Ethan. Acknowledge whoever you want. I want to ask you this question. What's your goals of 2024? Now that you're retired, what are your goals?
As for professionally, I don't really know. My main goal is to be a present and excellent father to my daughter that's due anytime now. She was supposed to be born today, but she's kind of making the fans wait on her debut. So,
well, thank you to your wife
dad.
and your daughter, because you actually let us. They let us borrow you tonight. So actually, I mean, it worked great for us. I wish that you would have your obviously daughter, your first daughter. Congratulations when that ever comes. I wish that you'd be there with your wife, but your wife's not having the kid yet. So it's great for us. But I really hope that your wife does have your daughter any minute now for sure.
I know
but,
she's definitely ready to be done with this whole pregnant thing. So I feel bad for her that we're going over now. I guess we're going to discuss next steps with doctors pretty soon. Maybe as soon as tomorrow in terms of when we can get her out of here, make her debut, and start the parenthood journey. But other than that, try to find my foot and still entertain my fans in some way.
Well, if you want to come on Sportswire still and share your opinions on, whatever you want, we certainly aren't turning you. I know you're not going to be in active competition. I know you're going to be a busy man, though, as a father, but, certainly, the microphone is always welcome. It's always on for you. So if you want to come on anytime and talk and share your opinions on wrestling, you're welcome.
To keep coming on Sportswire, and like I said, might try my hat in a little bit of gaming, streaming behind the scenes. I'm a bit of a gamer. Haven't really been able to play recently, but just getting these last minute preparations. And then as for wrestling, right now I'm not really considering any refereeing, commentary, any managerial roles, but that may change throughout the year. And maybe in another company, you may see me pop up as a general manager or a commentator or a referee, or
right.
Even just a manager. I'll give my experience, my advice to a aspiring young wrestler. Other than that, I might just have to cut my hair, cut the beard, and get a real job, get a 9 to 5. I'd hate to do it. Never really been much of a worker like that. But I mean, I got to feed a family now, so obviously
it's tough. No, listen, I mean, I certainly, don't, really, I don't really, want to joke on this, but being a father is a tough thing, and raising a family. And I know it's tough out there in this day and age with inflation, the economy, and jobs and everything else. And you're going to have a lot of responsibilities there. And I certainly wouldn't want to take away from any of that. And I certainly want to wish your wife all the best here. And I'll come back to Mr. Black, but I want to say hello actually to somebody who has a question for you. Actually is going to be on the show next Monday in your chair. That is going to be another member of our Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame to be inducted. He is the DBW Global Champion. He's one of my favorites, by the way. He's the It Factor Cyrus. Probably actually have a lot in common with CJ Black, ironically, but Cyrus is a big fan of ours because he gave me a big plug on Sportswire, and I'm wearing my DBW shirt. So I got to say hello to Cyrus. He wants to say, good evening, gentlemen. Congratulations to you. By the way, Jason, do you feel like you've accomplished all you can in your career before walking away? That's a great question. Do you feel that way from one champion to another?
No, I don't feel that way. I feel like realistically, I have a lot left in the tank. I have a lot left to prove in the ring, outside of the ring, as a champion, as a person. I right now I could be redeeming myself, to the ROW people, the fans rather, the competitors, and trying to rebuild my image to the fans because I know I tarnished that in my last few months. But I will say I'm proud of the fact that in a year, I'm a two-time world champion, two different companies. I've wrestled in 4 states. Um, I've wrestled Aaron Blaze. I've wrestled Jack Delta, JX. I've wrestled Captain Law. Uh, I've wrestled CJ Black, ADT. I mean, the list goes on.
Alex Cross, you've wrestled. I mean,
Alex
you've
Cross,
been in
my
the ring with the
Matt Hart.
foundation. Yep.
I've even wrestled Jay Leo, who's he's a
Yep.
professional wrestler, and
Yes.
although
Yeah.
that match didn't go my way, and I felt like I could have proved a little bit more with Mr. Leo. I mean, I've accomplished a lot of things that a lot of people, it takes them years to accomplish. So I'm proud of what I've done, but I feel like I could do more. Um, like I said, right now it's all about honoring the fact that I'm retired. I'm going to stay retired. I don't have intention on trying to weasel my way back into a ring in any capacity as of right now. Don't think I ever will. I'm trying to put my uh, I'm just gonna say it, like my bastard attitude behind me. I'm trying to just suck it up, be a man, and move on with my life.
You got a lot on your plate. You got a fatherhood ahead. You got a young wife. You got a newborn daughter coming. You've got to put a roof over your head. You got to put food on the table, and those things are certainly important. And I can only respect those things that you have to deal with. And obviously, I congratulate you on a great career. I congratulate you on your new family that's on the way, your beautiful wife, and your soon to be beautiful daughter. And those things are certainly bigger than what your wrestling career has become. We'll get to a few more comments. Jason, if you ever decided to make a return to the ring, I would be honored to face you. Good luck to you, brother. And I can't wait to have Darkron on with Matthew Forsaken 2 weeks from Tuesday, 11 o'clock. And Cyrus will be here 9:30 p.m. next Monday to be inducted into the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame. So I want to give Cyrus a big plug and the DBW guys. Also, before I get to also Mr. Black again, CJ, come on here and show your respect to him. So Hollywood Titan sticking up to you. Also here, I'm going to hold off for CJ's first comment because I'm going to get to the second one. There's no ass kissing here. We just go straight forward here on Sportswire. You know that by now. But I'm not going to call them worthless. The only people I might call worthless at this point is a couple of the British companies that basically try to take down our livelihood here on Sportswire Radio. You're talking about Joshua Snow, Rob Gillibrand, a pervert, a dirty pervert from Firestar Championship Wrestling. Those people are worthless. Those people are bad people. Those people would definitely be worthless people that we would make sure we would kick them in the balls and make sure that we would tell them they're never coming onto Sportswire Radio because they basically tried to jeopardize our livelihood and our platform here. So people like Joshua Snow, people like the wild card Tommy Dillon, Rob Gillibrand, those would be people that have Rob bad breath, and Joshua, all he does is put snow up his butt. So those would be people that we would definitely not want back on the platform.
You know what? And extra fuck you to that other guy calling himself the wild card. The only real wild card is the wild card.
Yeah, Tommy Dillon. Tommy Dillon, a guy that was a paper tiger, a world champion. He was the worst. I think he was the worst looking world champion in wrestling history. I mean, the guy, I don't even know. Like, he's been wrestling for 7 years, but still wrestles like nobody's. I mean, it's like funny. Calls himself a pro wrestler, has a beer belly, got a dad bod. I mean, you at least look in way better shape compared to him. Yeah, Tommy Dillon, definitely a guy that wouldn't want to be, got mad because I said something once on Sportswire a year back, whatever. Meanwhile, I bought his shirt, had him on the air, pumped him up, and all of a sudden, he's a Yahoo, though. But you know what? Those are people we wouldn't want to be. But obviously, we wish you all the best. But Mr. Black does want to say that in all seriousness, he'd like to put his, well, I think he basically is trying to give you the boo bird, but we'll let Mr. Black, have that moment to himself. And Nicholas Crenson here wants to congratulate you on the greatest gift which is being a dad. Absolutely. That's going to be your biggest accomplishment yet in the ring. And so does Darkron agrees with that. Fatherhood is a great experience. I promise you on that. Yep, definitely. All great stuff about that. So before I get to closing thoughts, is there anything else you want to say? Because I know you got to run soon. You got to be with your wife. Is there anything else that you'd like to say before we get to closing thoughts?
Yeah, I apologize to specific wrestlers at the beginning of the show, and right now I just like to take a moment to apologize to my fans, to ROEW fans. I'm sorry that I let you guys down. I'm sorry that I turned on you in my last couple of months. As an active wrestler in ROEW, I called a lot of people parasites. I sued a lot of people. I beat up a lot of people. I spit on the Christian community specifically. I'd like to apologize to them as well. I'm not much of a religious guy. Never have been. Don't think ever will be. But I do respect whatever anyone wants to believe. And for me to criticize that openly multiple times is disgusting. And especially beat somebody up in the house of God is disgusting. And I just want to apologize for anybody I've let down. For anybody that wants to see me wrestle in the future, I do apologize. I wish I could make it happen, but it just doesn't seem like it's in the cards, in the deck of the wild card, if you will. And I'd like to apologize to my family for kind of changing my attitude at home a lot, as well as in the ring. And, you know, I put my wife through a lot of stress wrestling these high intensity matches. Specifically, she wasn't a fan of the I Quit match with all the blood and, me going through a table. So I'd like to apologize to her for that. But, got to do what it takes to win, and got to keep fighting. That's what wrestling is. They say it isn't ballet. Um, I just wish it was different, guys.
I know. I think we all, at the end of the day, we wish that you weren't announcing your retirement. We wish that you were still here, even if you were suing us or suing everybody else. I would still rather have had you on and being an active competitor. But you know what? We'll see what the future holds. You've got a family ahead. Before I get to closing thoughts, I do want to break it here. The IMF on February 17th, and that's a Saturday. Also, it's going to be so 17th, and there'll be more details to follow on times and announcements. And I will certainly have a show dedicated with the guys. There will be a King of the Ring style tournament to crown the first King of the Center. That's a pretty cool concept. Very clever by the IMF. They're having a King of the Center because you think about the king, right? You think about who would be the King of the Ring, and to win a King of the Center, that's a pretty clever concept. I'm sure the likes of Darkron and Nicholas Crenson, I'm sure the likes of Sean Jovi, the resident rock star, and I'm sure the likes of Kodak Kid and some other stars out there. I'm sure Mephisto and so many other people that we've seen in the IMF, whether it's Jason Myers, Jordan Nets, a lot of people could be, competitors in that. I'm sure, hopefully, if management grants us the opportunity, we'll get a chance to cover that show because you can follow them on IMF Wrestling's YouTube page, IMF Wrestling 666, Instagram, IMF_wrestling. Also, Facebook, Iowa Midwest Federation Wrestling. So definitely stay tuned for that. And of course, before the 17th, we'll do another show dedicated onto some of the matches, and we'll have the guys on here. I'm sure Omen, because it's his show, we'll definitely have him on. Of course, Sojo, our great IMF champion. We'll have so many other people. The Dirty Haters will be on. We'll have, anybody you could think of in the IMF. They got an awesome roster, awesome, diverse group of talent. We'll get many of them on, as we always do, that week before the 17th. So looking forward to that. And thank you guys. And also, congratulations on your career. Now, I hope maybe one day we could induct you in the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame. I don't want to cloud your judgment right now and induct you or have that possibility. I know you're so focused on your wife now, but maybe if you want to come back, maybe we can sort that out if that would be something you'd want to do to recap that career. I don't want to recap the career now. Yep.
I'd be happy to. When the time is right,
we'll do that at a different time. I don't think tonight's the night to do that.
I'd be happy to be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, but definitely when you obviously can get settled and sorted, spend time with your family, have the baby, let a couple of months time go by and let wounds be healed. Maybe we'll figure out that day, but we'll be honored anytime that opportunity will be there for you. And before that, Nicholas Crenson will be in the Hall of Fame. Also, he's going to be inducted next Thursday night. Next Thursday, 11 o'clock Eastern Time, 10 p.m. Central Standard Time. So Nicholas Crenson will be inducted into our Hall of Fame next Thursday. Sean Jovi, the resident rock star, is in 2 weeks, February 3rd. We've also got James Taylor to be inducted. It's supposed to be next Sunday. We're going to move it back 1 week. And then obviously the DKW guys, 2 weeks from Tuesday, they're going to be inducted 11 o'clock Eastern Time on the 6th. And Cyrus, of course, the It Factor, the DBW Global Champion, is going to be inducted coming up here next Monday night, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Before I go, Jacob Collins says, the last time you apologized, you laid me out and hit me with a concerto. I don't trust the word that comes out of your mouth. The actions you showed the past couple of months is the true you. Actions speak louder than words, and you showed that. Okay, I know in the interest of time, let's get your closing thoughts. Let's end on a high. Jacob Collins has got his reasons. I don't blame him after what you did to him in his church, all that stuff. That's all certainly fair. Maybe one day we'll get Jacob on the show to get his feelings heard loud and clear. But let's end on a high. Let's end on a positive. Thank you for all that you've done in this sport. Thank you for all that you've done entertaining your fans, whether we liked you or didn't like you. You certainly did the best that you could. And I want to let you have this opportunity now that you've officially announced your career is over for closing thoughts. Anything else you want to plug, share, or say, my friend? The floor is certainly yours.
Yeah, I mean, as always, even though I'm not a member of the roster anymore, go follow at ROEW Backyard Wrestling, YouTube, Instagram. I'll still be posting sparingly on my Instagram, TikTok. I'm sure I got some relic matches somewhere, maybe some older clips. Jason.storm.byw, Instagram and TikTok. I got Facebook too. Don't really do too much with the Facebook.
Yeah, I don't plug people's personal Facebook pages. If it's a wrestler page, I plug it. But my policy always is if you got a page like an Instagram.
I have a wrestler Facebook. I just don't. It just doesn't click like Instagram does.
You know what? My policy still is if it's an active page, I'll plug it. That's always my policy. There's plenty of things to plug, but totally Instagram and TikTok. TikTok you're on as well, jason.storm.byw. That's where you can find Jason Storm. So definitely if you want to say hello to him, congratulate him on his great career, thank him for everything, or maybe not thank him like CJ Black, message him there. But certainly, most importantly, congratulations on the incoming birth of your daughter. My absolute well wishes to you and your beautiful wife and your new family that's about to arrive. And I thank you for all that you've done here in the past 9 months and certainly making Sportswire a more livelier and entertaining place. But also thank you for all that you've done in being one of the reasons why all wrestling matters and being a 2-time world champion and doing so many big things in a short amount of time. You've definitely been a definition of, well, eventually, when time is right, a Hall of Fame, because a Hall of Famer is somebody that did things,
Yeah, I'd like to think that I came into backyard wrestling at a very interesting era in backyard wrestling because it's kind of been like, crapped on, shunned by professional wrestling. But it truly, when you say all wrestling matters, I think that's more true than ever. And
it's something that we've adopted here really before we let you go. And I want to say on one more thing on this, and I promise I'll let you go. I know your wife's probably want to kill you at this point, but the reason I adopted that, frankly, is because, there were pro wrestlers and they were on my timelines, AKA Joshua Snow, who was, basically crapping on, certain yarders that had been on the platform when I shared a post of theirs. And I think that certain pro wrestlers have no business and no right to crap on anybody when a lot of these pro wrestlers who've been crapping on certain yarders, undergrounders, whatever it might be, when you watch what they do in the ring and, clearly they might want to go back and train. They might want to go back and watch a Jason Storm match. They might want to go back and watch a Jack Delta match. They might even want to watch a CJ Black match. They certainly want to watch an Omen Black and a Soldier GP match. They certainly would want to watch an Atomic Titan match. They would certainly want to watch a Cyrus match. They would certainly want to watch a Brandon Castelli match. They would certainly want to watch a Chase Wakefield match or an Ace Christian match. They would certainly want to watch a Jordan Nets match. And the facts are is that there are certain people, just because you're quote unquote trained, does not give you any right to go and tell somebody else that they can't do something, they aren't doing a good job, because you haven't walked in their shoes. You have no absolute right to do that, and you have no business telling anybody else. When you look in your own shoes, it takes one to know one, buddies. Anybody who goes out there and craps on any type of wrestling, that's never going to fly on my platform. That's never going to fly on my show. And as somebody that is the host of the Sports Report, the owner of Sportswire Radio, the #1 global radio station, your voice of all wrestling, where all wrestling matters, I have plenty of yarders, plenty of undergrounds who come on this platform, and frankly, they do a far better job than some pro guys that have come on here, because there have been pro guys in the past that have come on this platform and they have put me to sleep. There have been pro guys that have come on here and they seem like they had no interest in being here. They have no interest in doing anything for the fans. It's the people like Jason Storm, the people like CJ Black, the people like Jack Delta, the people like Atomic Hollywood Titan, the people like CJ Black and Omen Black and Soldier GP and Nicholas Crenson and Sean Jovi, the resident rock star, and even Mephisto. Everybody else out there, Jackson Law, Fletch, Justin Parsley, Corey Lee, Chris Jones, ACT. I can go and list 50 different people. Even Ace Reed does a better job at entertaining the people and putting their heart and soul more than certain guys that have been in the pros who have crapped on different people. So that's what I want to say on that. We're going to end in a way kind of like it's my own Roddy Piper like statement. I was watching an old Roddy Piper shoot he did back on a show. It was on All American Wrestling, and he was basically calling it like it is. I will always call it like it is when it comes to all wrestling matters. And any yarder here that's shunned by pro wrestlers, you bring them to me. I'll call them out. I'll call out those pros, and I'll bring them right here live on this platform, and I'll call them and I'll tell it to them right to their face. So nobody will be bullied. No undergrounders, no yarders, or anybody else will be bullied on this platform anytime, because all wrestling matters here. So on that note, we're going to end. Jason Storm, congratulations on a great career. I wish you all the best in your upcoming family. Thank you so much to everybody here that is tuned in. I want to give my good buddy, Mr. TBK, a nice plug for the banner that he created for us. We use it throughout each of our shows. So thank you, TBK, for your support. He had the foundation guys on his Be More Talkative podcast a couple of months ago. Hope he's doing well. But in the meantime, if you're on sportswireradio.org, you're going back to your regularly scheduled programming. My name is the Reverend Tom Bryce, your voice of all wrestling, where all wrestling will always matter here on Sportswire Radio. We were joined here with Jason Storm, who officially announced his retirement here on Sportswire Radio. Stay tuned to his Instagram and TikTok pages for more details. Jason.storm.byw. If you're on sportswireradio.org, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch, sportswireradio.org, you're going back to Peter Gabriel's Sledgehammer music. If you're on Twitch, YouTube, and Twitter, I'll be back here tomorrow night between 9 and 9:30 with Van Hansen of DBW. But until then, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, on the #1 level radio station that is Sportswire Radio.